皆さんこんにちは。Welcome to 英語ファイル。今回はですね、英検1級の二次対策の Q&A セクションを見ていこうと思います。Q&A の質問を募集したところ、いくつか集まりましたので、それらに答えていこうと思います。質問を作っていただきどうもありがとうございました。で、始める前にですね、まず英検の公式サイトにバーチャル英検っていうのかなっていう、二次試験の流れを動画で見れるものがあるんですけど、それをちょっとサンプルとして分析してみたんですね。で、分かったことがですね、Q&A セクションは、このサンプルの場合は5つのクエスチョンが聞かれています。ただ、公式ホームページによると聞かれる問題数は決まってはいないんですね。時間は一応決まっているようです。4分間なんですけど、サンプルの中では、5問聞かれてます。で、それぞれに対する回答の長さなんですけど、1問目は、87ワード答えてました。で、2問目も87ワード、3問目は57ワード、4問目は106ワードで、5問目は46ワードで答えていましたね。で、これら平均すると 76.6 ワードになります。で、多分普通の速さで喋ってる場合、そしてあーんとかあーとか含めた場合は 76.6 ワードっていうのは多分45秒ぐらいなんですよ。なので、平均してね、一つの問題に対して、45秒ぐらい答えられたらいいかなっていう感じです。はい、じゃあ早速、皆さんがね作ってくださった問題に答えていこうと思います。なるべくリアルなね感じを出したかったので、まだ読んでないです。だからちょっとドキドキしてます。結構書いてますね。一つかと思ったら、はい、いきます。If you were on the board of education, how would you transform the current Japanese education system for the better? How would you go about it? Okay, well, if you mean by the Japanese education system, the way English is taught, then I think, as many people would also probably say, we need to put slightly more emphasis on speaking skills and also writing skills, because at the moment Japanese education focuses mainly on reading and grammar, and while I do think that those two skills are important, I think that in order for students to become more interested in the language and to feel that language is something that we use for communication and not just for answering difficult exam questions, I think what the Board of Education could do is to introduce more speaking and writing into the curriculum. はい。感想はじゃあ後ほど。はい、じゃあ次いきます。It is believed that making class size smaller is an effective way to enhance the effectiveness of education. Do you agree? I think I do, to a certain degree, because I have both experience of teaching private lessons, one-on-one lessons, and also teaching large classes. And I find that when I'm teaching one-on-one, I'm able to, explain things in a way that suits every student, and that obviously makes them able to understand the content better. But I suppose the advantage of the bigger classes is that, especially if it's like a speaking class, then the atmosphere of the class becomes quite energetic, and that can really raise the motivation of some of the other students. So I don't think we can say for sure that the smaller the number of students in the class, the better the quality of education, but there are definitely some kind of benefits. はい、じゃあどんどんいきます。It has been pointed out that the quality of teachers has been declining in recent years. Do you agree? If you agree, what do you think we can do? Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the quality of teachers is declining. I really don't know. I haven't really thought about this before. But I think even if the quality of teachers is declining, I suppose it depends on what we mean by quality. Do we mean the amount of knowledge that they have, or is it their ability to teach students? So it really depends on what aspect of teaching we're looking at. But I think that in the future we probably won't need, teachers won't need to have so much knowledge, because knowledge is available anywhere these days. Students have access to knowledge in their smartphones. They can, if they don't know the meaning of a word, if they don't know how to pronounce a word, then they'll be able to search their phones. So I think as teachers, what teachers are going to need in the future is more than anything, not knowledge, but the ability to motivate students to become interested in learning, and also the ability to facilitate learning, I think, to help students learn rather than just teach, just give lectures about things that the teacher knows a lot about. I think the teacher is going to have to be able to help the students to become better learners. It is said that English education in Japan is not practical nor intensive enough to nurture the competence of their overall English abilities. What are your opinions? Yep, so as I said earlier, I think Japanese education, English education in Japan, is focused mainly on reading, comprehension, and grammar. And I think one of the reasons is because it's easier to teach and it's easier to grade when it comes to testing students, because normally in comprehension questions there's only one answer, so it's very clear to see if a student has got something right or wrong. Whereas if we had to test a student on speaking or writing, because there is no right answer, I think it makes maybe the grading process quite complicated, and because there's a lot of subjectivity that goes into grading writing and speaking, one teacher might give a student's, let's say, essay 5 out of 10, but another teacher might think it's worth 9 out of 10. So we'll have issues of fairness as well. So that's the reason why, that's probably the reason why they've been focusing on reading and comprehension and not the practical skills. Yep, so, and unfortunately that probably doesn't nurture the kind of competence that students need in order to use the language, actually use the language with confidence. Do you think child-teacher relationship affects pupils' cognitive development? That's a really difficult question. Child-teacher relationship affects pupils' cognitive development. Well, I think definitely, because well, I suppose if the student and the teacher have kind of like a good relationship where they trust each other, then the student will feel quite relaxed in the classroom. And I think in order to think creatively and to maybe think critically, first and foremost, the student has to feel comfortable in the classroom. So in that sense, I think it's very important for teachers to create a kind of learning environment where students feel safe to make mistakes. They don't have to feel guilty of making mistakes, and if that kind of environment can be created, then I think it'll have a positive effect on a child's cognitive development. 難しい。はい、ということで以上、5問でしたね。YouTube のココさんでした。ありがとうございました。いやー難しい。はい。で、続きまして、2つもありますね。はい。じゃあ、You mentioned about Yutori education policy. Do you think it had a positive or negative effect on Japanese education? Okay, so I've heard both sides of the argument. I've heard some experts say that because of this new education policy, the students have not been able to learn as much and they don't have as much knowledge. So, and because of that, they lack the foundations of a lot of important things, and they're unable to think critically. It always looks like they just want to have fun, and maybe they're kind of lazy. But on the other hand, I've heard that some people believe that because the students who have been educated under this new policy had more free time and didn't feel as stressed as maybe the previous generation, they've been able to become more creative. I can't exactly give a specific example, but I've heard it being said that a lot of the students who have been brought up under the system have a more kind of relaxed approach to life and therefore are very kind of friendly people, and they get along well with their peers. So taking into account these two different views, I'm more convinced that the latter opinion is true, especially the people that I personally know who have been through this system. They're very agreeable people, and they kind of prove that knowledge isn't really everything in life. Some things in life are more important than just knowing lots of things. はい。で、2つ目ですね。It is said that these days college students don't study so much compared to the ones many years ago. Do you agree or disagree? It said that these days don't study so much compared to Okay, well, I suppose it depends on the country we're talking about. So maybe for the developed countries, such as Japan, the students are not studying as hard. Especially in Japan, I suppose in the past, competition was much more greater. The number of students competing to get into a certain university was much greater, so therefore they had to work hard, and also after they graduated from university, there would be competition to get into the best companies. So I think the students back then kind of felt the pressure to try and work as hard as they can. So in that sense, I think people in previous generations were working harder, but nowadays, because of the declining birth rate and shrinking population, there are not as many people competing for the same position, and therefore the students probably don't feel the need to study really hard and get good grades. So I do agree with this tendency. Whereas maybe in the developing countries, such as India, competition is still very high. So in fact, probably college students these days study even harder than those of previous generations. はい、ということで、友橋さんからの、ご質問でした。ありがとうございました。はい、で、Twitter の方でもね、いくつか届いてるみたいなので見ていこうと思います。はい。It is often said that Japan is generally behind other developed countries in terms of international communication skills. What do you think should be done to improve the current situation? Okay. International communication skills. So first I suppose we should define what international communication skills means. It's probably maybe not just the ability to speak in English or the common language that is used by people of other countries, but also to understand different cultures. And I think maybe Japan is kind of lagging behind other countries in both respects. So first, we're not able to use the language very well yet. Although a lot of students are trained to read very well at school, I still think they lack the ability to kind of express their opinions and say meaningful things in conversations. And in order to improve their confidence, I think we just need to let them know that it's a matter of practice. The reason why people aren't very good at speaking is because they're not practicing enough. I think it's the same thing with any other skill, such as playing the piano, for instance. If you play the piano just for 10 minutes every week, you can't really expect big improvements. So much in the same way, if you want to become better at speaking, I think students need to be given the opportunity to speak as much as they can every week in order to improve. And as for the other aspect, maybe still Japanese people are not completely aware of other cultures, cultural values, although because nowadays there are a lot of immigrants who have come to Japan. Japanese people have more opportunities to come into contact with them, so we are slowly beginning to understand these differences in values. For example, like how Muslims, they cannot eat certain foods and they often have to pray at certain times. So I think it is getting better. And so, sorry, what's the question? What do you think could be done? Well, as for the speaking English bit, as I said, we need to maybe change the education system so that students can get more of a chance to speak. And as for the communication, the cultural understanding, just interest maybe. We just need to feel interested, and we need to broaden our minds towards diversity. It is said that Japanese college students ちなみに先ほどはクリストファー・イングリッシュさんですね。ありがとうございました。で、最後です。It is said that Japanese college students don't study hard after they enroll. Do you think anything should be done to change this situation? Okay, so I do agree because I've heard about this many times before. I've heard that it's difficult to get into Japanese universities, but once you get in, it's not as difficult, and that's why people kind of start not relaxing, but they don't study as hard. Whereas in other countries, for instance, I don't know, America or something, they say that sometimes it is, compared to Japanese universities, it's easier to get in, but once you get in, it's very difficult to get out. In other words, you have to study really, really hard in order to graduate. Anyway, so in the case of Japan, I suppose some people might say that because the high school students studied so hard to get into the university, we should kind of give them a little break before they start working after they graduate. And because once they start working, they're going to have to work really hard again most of the time. But I think the reason why students don't study hard once they get into university is because they don't have an objective. I think if they have a clear goal of what they want to achieve in life, then I think they will be more willing to study hard, because the harder they study, the more likely that they'll be able to achieve their dreams. So I think maybe we can help students by, I don't know, maybe conducting seminars that help them find their future ambitions, make them take like certain, I don't know, personality tests to check what kind of job is best suited to them, help them in that kind of way, I think. はい、ということでこのご質問は、ゆうこさんですね。どうもありがとうございました。はい、で多分以上だと思います。ということで、いかがでしたでしょうか。結構大変でした。すごくいい質問作っていただきありがとうございました。何か参考になったら嬉しいなと思います。今回の回答に関して、後でね編集で自分のコメントとかいろいろ改善点とか、書いてあると思うので、それを参考にしていただいて、それでも何か質問がある場合はぜひ今回のコメント欄にも書いてください。ということで、今回は以上になります。Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next lesson.